gonna come to you, right?
Yeah, so like let's say I'm going to a meeting and it starts at noon on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I get a call from my interviewer and he's like, hey, listen, we're actually gonna move the meeting 2 hours forward.
Yeah.
And if I have the perspective that time is going towards me,
And then 2 hours forward towards you.
And be forward towards me, it'd be
Exactly.
10 a.m.
It'd be 10 a.m.
But if I felt like I was just going through time
Yeah, exactly.
and had more control in my life,
Yeah.
I would see it as 2 p.m.
2 p.m. because it got moved forward ahead.
3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm low energy today.
Yeah,
So-
we're low on energy. It's the second day, so we always get low energy on this stuff. What's up, guys? Welcome back
Just
to
chilling.
We Don't Exist, because we don't exist.
exist.
I stole your cue.
Yeah, I know,
you
right?
didn't say it last time, so I was like, I'm just going to say it this time.
I gotta build back up my my what? Fuck. There's a word for it.
Your dialogue?
No. My fucking, I don't know, like when someone fails you, it's like the equivalent of like having to build the trust back.
The redemption?
Well, yeah, I gotta like redeem my, like, because you have a fucking, there's a word, bro. Like reliability. I gotta build back my reliability.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
I knew it was an R word.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yo, I actually want to talk about something. I swear to God, I didn't have this plan.
No, for sure,
I always
yeah,
have
yeah.
something in plan to talk about, but this time I didn't. But anyways, all right. So I watched a video. Do you watch ASAP Science?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's they came up with a video about this, but it's not important. I just wanted to know so that if you did, you already saw the video, then we could just talk about it instead of me asking you. So if I told you, and I already know your answer, by the way, I'm like 90,000% sure that I already know your answer. If I told you that the Wednesday meeting was moved 2 hours forward from noon, or the Wednesday noon meeting was moved 2 hours forward, what time would it be?
2 p.m.?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. There's no wrong answer. I mean, there is. But it's either 2 p.m. or 10 a.m. But, I mean, I knew you'd say 2 p.m. because of the way you are. But you'd be shocked to find out that there's actually a lot of people, and it might be a 50-50 split. I would be inclined to believe it's probably like a 60-40 at most split. But there's a lot of fucking people who would say 10 a.m.
Say the question again.
The Wednesday noon meeting was moved 2 hours forward.
The Wednesday noon meeting was moved 2 hours forward.
A lot of people would answer 10 a.m. and they would look at us like, "What the fuck? What do you mean 2 p.m.? Of course it's 10 a.m."
I can see that. I can kind of see that, like vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
So essentially, there's a lot of psychology about it. A lot of psychology that they didn't even cover. But essentially, it has to do with the way you perceive time. And the way, it has to do with the way you perceive time. And they explain this. There's like I forget the fucking terms, but essentially one is an egocentric kind of view of time, and then the other is something else, not ego, whatever. But the difference is, if you view it as 2 p.m., then that means that you view yourself as moving forward through time, and then if you view it as 10 a.m., you view time as something that's coming toward you. So like events are meeting you. And so one way to think about this is a lot of times events that we feel are inevitable, we view as coming towards us, but things that we want to do, or like things that are like contingent on us making actions, we view as moving through time. And it heavily correlates with how much we feel like our actions and decisions impact the world. Right? So if you feel like you have a lot of control and impact on what goes on, then you're a lot more likely to view it as you moving forward through time. But if you're probably more submissive or like passive, then you're a lot more likely to view it as time kind of meeting you, right? Going to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like one way to think of it is like, if you're dreading a meeting, like you're dreading, or like not a meeting, like a job interview or like some like speech that you have to do, and you know you have to do it, right? You're a lot more inclined to view it as something that is going to come to you because it's inevitable,
Wow.
right? Because it's going to come to you,
Yeah.
right?
So like, let's say I'm going to a meeting and it starts at noon on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I get a call from my interviewer and he's like, "Hey, listen, we're actually gonna move the meeting 2 hours forward."
Yeah.
And if I have the perspective that time is going towards me,
And then 2 hours forward
means
towards you.
it'd be forward towards me, it'd be
Exactly.
10 a.m.
It'd be 10 a.m.
But if I felt like I was just going through time
Yeah, exactly.
and had more control in my life,
Yeah.
I would see it as 2 p.m.
2 p.m. because it got moved forward ahead, and it's really based off of like, do you see? Yeah, I mean you get it. Yeah, and another interesting fact is like because it's a linguistic thing, so it's specifically English language because of the English language. The English language basically impacts the way we perceive like past, present, and future tense things, right? And so like there's other languages like I forget the one, but there's a language in which they talk about in this video too. Like in their language, the future is spoken as if it's behind them, and the past is in front of them. So when they
say that again,
in this language, we could just fucking it's a language that exists, but let's just call it Blue Block. In Blue Block, the way they speak about future tense things is as if it's behind them, and then the way they speak about past tense things is as if it's in front of them. And so, like, if they were to talk about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to a Christmas party like Thursday, right? Like today's Wednesday, so like Thursday I have a Christmas party, and they'll like gesture behind them, and it's just like a known thing. Like that's just how their language works. Like it's not conjugations, but like yeah, basically the tense in which they use words, future tense is behind, and past is in front.
okay.
So, and why that is, I don't fucking know. But anyways, the reason why this is important is because that question only has that issue in English.
What question?
The question of like moving a meeting forward. Because like people there wouldn't be that split if it was a different language.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's specifically the English language because forward is like, what's forward, right?
Right.
Because time and then like the tense of words is so like not very tightly connected. Yeah.
Interesting. That's like it only in the English language.
Yeah.
So like it's like a paradox within the language, right?
Not a paradox, just like a potential I don't know. I actually view it as something beautiful. I think I have this very innate feeling that I just love English. Like I love English a lot.
I do too.
And I always felt like that feeling was just like, oh, it's my first language. It's my natural born language. Of course I'm gonna like it a lot. But I've always felt like it allows for so much artistic kind of expression, and I know that like there's a ton of beautiful languages that do the same. Like I think French is this way. I know German in a lot of ways is this way too. But for English, I think part of it is this fact that like we have so many words that can be interpreted so many different ways, and so like you can say a sentence, and like the way that you can present a certain sentence within a specific context can be so fucking beautiful and powerful in the way that it's represented through imagery. I want to think of an example, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it justice.
I see what you mean, because like when I'm learning Spanish is really based off context.
Yeah.
It's literally like it's crazy when you're learning Spanish. It's like a different world that you're like stepping into. Right, it's a different culture that you're stepping into.
Yeah.
Because you have to. It's not very analytical like English. English is very analytical, right? I think this is why like it's very like. I guess this is why it's such a universal language, because it has this ability to go really deep within itself, and take something like Spanish. I feel like it can't do that, because it's so like it just depends on the context, because this word can mean this word and this word could mean this word, and we have those words, but there's like a specific distinction And when you ask people who speak Spanish, like, oh, why is that? They kind of like, I don't know. Like, why? Like, so like, why does this word mean this word? And why does this one mean this word? And they generally have an answer. It's like, oh, it just depends on the situation.
Yeah.
It depends on the context. And it's very context based. And I think this is why it correlates to like a lot of Mexicans being like ground down to earth people. Because this is within the culture of the language where it's like, they're very context based, right? You go to Mexico, there's no fucking, you know, New York City out there with tons of buildings and distractions and shit like that, like glowy shit, right?
Yeah,
you have some
a big
there.
part of that is also like the socioeconomic climate.
No, exactly. And so they result to just talking. Like you go there and they're just talking all the time and having like bandas and parties and fucking all this shit.
That is true.
Right? And that language is just helps support that contextual like culture. You know what I mean? And this is why they're very like this is why if you don't speak the language when you talk to someone like a Spanish speaker, they don't really trust you. They don't like. I don't know if you ever experienced this because I'm Spanish or I'm Mexican,
I've never experienced this,
and I don't speak Spanish. I'm Mexican, 100% Mexican, and I don't speak Spanish. And throughout my life, you know, like Mexicans come up to me like, "Hablas español?" And I'm like, "Nah, poquito." You know what I mean? Or like just a little bit, not really. And like you can see this wall built up, this wall built up, and I think it's very similar with other languages, like specific
really
like Chinese people also do this too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then and it's like this like it's like you see this open-mindedness just kind of go out the window and you see this wall.
Yeah.
And it's because I think and it's so interesting because when I've been practicing a little bit of Spanish and I've been like talking, and as soon as you start talking a little bit of Spanish, they immediately trust you and you start making jokes. And like one thing about like a Spanish saying is like a huevo way. When he was like, let's fucking do this. Like, let's get this shit. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I'll say that when I go to the club and everything, and I'll be like talking to some people and like, oh, you don't speak Spanish? No. And it's like, oh, fuck. I'm like, okay, you're still cool. Like, let's go get some tacos. I'm like, a huevo way. And they're like, ah. And then they, boom, instant connection, right? Because when you speak that language, you're showing this like, there's this, I don't know, like it's this weird thing where like you can just put your ego aside and just kind of like, hey, I can like still talk to you guys, and sure I might say a couple words wrong, but it's like the fact like they see you trying to speak Spanish is almost enough. Like you don't even have to speak it right, as long as you just like try it. It's like enough.
Yeah, that's an important distinction to make actually, because at first I was gonna comment and say that I think a big part of it is like okay, so I'm trying to think of how much context is necessary. Fuck it, I'm just gonna go into it.
I think we're just gonna make the podcast about this. I think this is super interesting.
I mean, yeah, we could do this for a while, then maybe hop on a question. There's some that like, you know, let's just do us. Let's just fucking do us.
No, I actually want to do a topic on this.
All right, let's fucking talk about it. So,
well, okay, I don't know what the question is. I guess how powerful language is.
No. We can decide a question after.
Oh, for sure.
Let's just fucking talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking to someone and they were asking me about how when I sit down near, like when I sit down like in a room, okay, let me give context. So she was talking to me about how when she went to the DMV, she sat next to a black woman. And when she sat next to this black woman, the black woman was like kind of standoffish, you know, it was a very like, you know, personal space kind of moment, right?
Yeah.
And then another black person then came in the DMV and then sat next to the black woman, and they immediately started talking.
Yeah.
And she knew that they didn't know each other.
Right.
So it was clear that, you know, they didn't know each other, but they had this like connection.
Yes.
Right?
It
was like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't start talking to me.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Right? And so she asked me, she was like, yeah, like when you meet other black people, like, do you just feel like a connection, like this innate like attachment to them? And I was like, no, not at all. And then she just found that really interesting because I mean, I don't know, maybe she was expecting me to say yes. But I also understand that like this connection, I've felt this connection before.
Yes.
Not to black people though. I felt it particularly, and so my connection is with, and this I've come in and out of this, especially as I've become less and more involved with this community. But for me, it's League of Legends players.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When I meet someone, and it's funny because I experienced this with Gabe. So when I meet someone, at first they're just human. Wall human. You're a human. This is a wall.
Yeah.
But then all they have to fucking say, bro, especially if they comment on my tattoo, all they have to fucking say is like anything that lets me know they play it. Because even knowing about it isn't very cool. Because it's like great. Like it's one of the biggest games in the world. Like knowing about it isn't very good. But if I can tell that they play it and they're like they're in on the culture, bro, that wall starts to crumble so fast. So fast you wouldn't even fucking believe it.
Exactly.
And it's crazy how that works. It's like I don't know shit about them other than this one fucking thing.
Yes.
They are heavily involved in the same community that I am.
And they don't even have to be fully committed as you. Like, as long as they're just within that culture and just kind of get it.
And
they just get it.
And that's what it is. It's the communal feeling. It's that feeling of, we now understand each other on a deeper level than if you were just a random human. You're no longer just a random human. You're a random human within my community.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, there's something there. It's so beautiful. And this really kind of falls back on like communal, like, how deeply ingrained and how deeply important communities are to like the human experience, right? Like just that familiarity with someone, even if you've never seen them in your fucking life. And it's also so interesting because like I've experiences with family members, not me, because I'm not like I don't have a very family oriented mind. And so because of this, when I've met family members, they're still a stranger to me. I mean, even like my mother in a lot of ways is still a fucking stranger to me just because I didn't really half of my adolescence wasn't with her. Even more than half technically, because even when the part that was with her was only half. Yeah, so I'll meet said family member from Arkansas. We'll meet. And to them, they're like, "Oh, you're a family member. Like, you need anything, you tell me.
Yeah.
You need anything, you tell me.
Yeah.
You're a like you're my family.
Yeah.
Never met me before. For me, it's like, hi, nice to meet you. You know, it's just like it's that you're just a stranger, bro. You're the same as someone who I just met on the fucking train. Like I don't know you. So yeah, and so I think it has to do with that. It's like it's that communal like, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I've experienced that with Mexicans as well, right? Like they'll know that I'm Mexican and they'll like instantly like be more comfortable around me and they'll start talking to me and then they start talking to me in Spanish and this shit. And I got to let them know like, oh, I don't really speak Spanish. And then boom, that wall just goes down and they're like, oh, and like, I see it all the time. And maybe I'm a little harsh on myself because I used to be, but like, you know, I've gotten to the point where it's like, it doesn't really matter if that wall is up there or not. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. And it's just super interesting because, you know, I've felt that like that brotherhood, you know what I mean? That like resonance with them. But I've also felt that resonance with like white people as well.
Yeah.
Like I've just felt that too. Like
interesting. So when, who, and how?
Like Chick-fil-A. Okay. When I used to work there, right? It's predominantly. I mean, no, that we have actually a good.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Though.
But I mean, I would have to say just like strangers meeting and talking to people, and it's really interesting because at first they're kind of like, "Hi, come off of this and that." At first they come off like superficial, right? Like there's that wall, and I see it, and it's like as soon as I open my mouth and show off how charismatic and how witty and like intelligent. I know I'm just fucking stroking my ego right here.
But wait, I want to pause just for a fucking second. This might be annoying and I'm sorry if it is. So you had a moment there where you said this and that, then you stopped yourself, went back, and then used the word superficial. What happened there?
When I've been like editing the videos, I've been explaining things very vaguely and I want to get better at that. So instead of saying this and that,
I don't know how I should go about this, but I want you to know, like, I feel very proud of you for that.
Oh,
like, I don't know how I don't know how I should represent this other than just like telling you that I feel very proud of you. I don't know. I admire that a lot. Like I admire, like, I don't know. the conscientiousness of you to see this part of yourself, see this way that you are, and say, I want this to improve, and then like you just actively do. I don't know. It's impressive. I just got impressed.
Namaste.
That's really cool.
Hey, I don't know what namaste means.
I don't
but-
fucking know.
leave a comment down below because I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
But basically, what was I saying?
I know. You were talking about how you'll talk to people, and then you
Right. So
yeah,
as
when you
soon
show
as-
them
as soon
how
as I
charismatic.
As soon as I open my
intelligent.
mouth, they see the charisma and they see the wittiness, and then people can feel more open towards me. They can sense that vibe,
Yeah.
and the wall goes down, right? And this usually is with people who kind of like aren't toxic.
Like genuine people, you mean?
Yeah,
People who are like what, authentic?
yeah, who are just also just kind of like happy in life, you know, who are
Yeah.
just kind of enjoying
Yeah,
it.
so
and I resonate a lot with those people.
Yeah.
And what I
Yeah.
struggle with is resonating with people who aren't happy with life, who come from like,
That's crazy.
you know, emotionally poor families
That's
and financially
crazy.
poor families,
That's crazy.
right?
Yeah.
But I grew up relating with emotionally poor and financially poor people at first.
Yeah.
And then I've slowly developed into someone who's resonated with more people who are, you know, financially healthy and mentally healthy people. And I
Yeah.
think it's through my ability, because, you know, when I started reading books and I started learning how to be charismatic, and I just started enjoying the English language, I started loving it, and that love turned into like this like need for knowledge and learning, and I figured out how to express that charismatically, and people see that. So like I attract also like intelligent minded people as well.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you say that, because what comes to mind so two things come to mind. First, there's the topic of you resonating with a certain kind of, or you like being drawn to, or like being able to easily connect with a certain kind of person with a certain kind of outlook, because I think there's like a lot of substance to that. Like for some, I can it's really easy for me to get along with someone who's like naturally skeptical, because I'm naturally skeptical. And when people aren't naturally skeptical, I often fall into like a mindset of like judging them.
Right.
Because I look at them and I'm like you shouldn't be able to, and you know, this kind of falls back to the last episode. You shouldn't be able to go about this life of yours. Like
Yeah.
I almost look at them and I think, you're so naive, you're so gullible. Like, how have you made it this far without that being, without the lesson of not being able to trust being taught to you, right? And it really begs the question, why am I so resentful towards that? Probably because I've been hurt by people who I trusted.
Yeah.
And so I've built up that I don't know, cynicism or that skepticism towards others, and so I'm just upset because I'm like, I've gone through this pain, you haven't. But anyways, yeah, and so because of that, I've somewhat sort of been kind of drawn to people who are like skeptical and like cynical, because I have a respect for them, because I know that they've been through shit that's made them skeptical.
Right.
So it's interesting because it almost seems like you're saying the opposite
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
Which
no,
also
for
begs
sure.
the question, you know, why are we friends? But then again, we probably became friends before I'd gotten so fucking hurt, right?
Yeah.
which really begs the question, would we be friends if we had met later? That's a really interesting question.
I think we would.
I don't think so. I don't think we would.
Because-
I don't think we'd be friends.
I mean, it depends, because although I do struggle with people who come from a emotionally poor and financially poor background, at first they don't like me. At first.
Yeah, for sure.
And they just don't want, because one, they can't really relate to me,
Yeah.
and part of me is I think they're jealous.
Yeah.
And then once they actually talk to me, and once they get to know me a little bit, and know that like, hey man, like I've actually come from a somewhat similar background, and I've actually done some of the dumb shit that you do as well. I've just overcome that, because when they
You
start
say
talking
dumb shit.
or like dumb shit, or like I've made mistakes like you as well. Like you've made a mistake, I've made mistakes. Like we've done like when I say dumb shit, I kind of meant more of like naughty. You know what I mean? Like bad, like
okay.
you know what I mean? Where like like troublemaker type shit.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't see that at first because I don't come off that way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come off that way at all.
Very wholesome, very goody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they start talking to me and they start realizing, oh, like, okay, like this guy's kind of with the shits and stuff like that. And then that kind of like leads the barrier where it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, I've done what you've done, but I've just chosen a different path after that. You know what I mean?
That's a whole nother thing. I totally relate to that. And in many ways, I relate to that too. The reason why, so I actually think you say that people often, when they talk to you long enough or get to know you better, then they do tend to like you more because they realize more.
Right.
So I have this idea that will happen with everybody in the world. It's just that sometimes the time it takes is much longer than the time people are willing to invest.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. And
so
I agree with that.
That's a big part of my issue. I'm very unwilling to invest in people when the time it takes for me to get to know them is too long, because I know for a fact there isn't a single human on this earth that I won't be able to be friends with if I get to know them well enough. I know for a fact. There's not a single fucking soul on this earth.
Right.
And I think that's part of being a human, by the way.
No, for sure.
I think that if you put two people in a room and make it to where they can't kill themselves, then sooner or later, probably later, they'll become friends.
Yeah.
Just fact of life,
for sure. Right? Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the most beautiful things about being human, right?
Yeah.
Because, no matter what, you can relate on something. You're both human.
Yeah.
Right. And there's human conditions.
And that's a really important point. Make sure that they can't kill each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
because they it's like as long as they can't fucking end each other's lives.
Yeah.
And they're forced to, because really what it's about is being forced to confront that other person.
Right. Because I mean, it's easier to confront that person and learn to like enjoy or tolerate their presence, or I guess enjoy their presence, because tolerating is just draining.
Yeah. No, and you're so fucking right. Oh man, I've said this before, but you're very smart. Tolerating is draining. It's incredibly draining. Tolerating implies that that you have to put effort into it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to try to tolerate something. You don't have to try to enjoy something. It
exactly.
Just happens,
it just happens.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And yeah. And you know what? Like there's still people that I meet to this day that I still bump heads with.
Yeah.
Right? And like, but eventually we could get to somewhat of like an understanding point.
Yeah.
Right? Or what happens is like I've learned to like enjoy their presence, but they can still like hate me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at that point, it's the cards are on their side, right? Like the chips are on your table now. Like anything you do is either one gonna help the relationship between me and you, or just gonna make you look like a little kid. Your choice.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I'm wondering how much of this podcast is just gonna be me sucking your dick. You're like a good person. I know. Right? This is the third time I'm complimenting you.
Oh god.
Yeah, you're a wholesome fucking person. Like you're a good person. Yeah, I'm admiring your ability. I'm admiring, I guess, your ability to just. I think you're much further than where most people are in your. I want to just say fucking zen or like acceptance.
Yeah.
Like people have a lot of people. People in general have a resistance to acceptance, right?
Yeah,
this
do.
is the reason why we suffer because we don't accept, right?
Yeah.
And so, and people who are higher in acceptance are generally more happy.
Yeah.
And I think that your level of acceptance is so much fucking higher than the average person's. And I'm seeing this now, and not that I haven't seen this before, but it's just becoming really apparent to me, just your outlook on people.
Yes.
Because it's so much different than my outlook on people, and I think it's just because I'm so much less willing to accept people.
Yeah, no. And you know, I was on that same road too. And it's a hard road, dude. To learning to accept it. Hands down, hardest thing I've ever done. Hands down. The hardest thing.
So how did you do it?
I forced myself to be social. And this goes back.
What did that do for you?
it made me realize that I need to stop judging people and that I need to stop trying to compete with people and that we're all just like human and we all have these problems. I can't take things any personally. I need to be a person who like, it's very interesting, Jordan, because ever since when I was young, I remember I used to think about this. When I was young, I wanted to be wise. When I was like a little kid, I was like, I want to be wise. Like, I thought it was so cool how like this old guy and, Mr. Miyagi can just like look at someone and just tell their personality.
Yeah.
And just who they are and like figuring them out. And I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And so I used to look shit up. Like, how do you be wise? When I was young, when I was like 6 and 12. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And I think that's planted the seed. And part of that has one of the earliest, I think, core principles that I developed when I was younger is being honest with myself. That's something I've practiced for years, right? There was this one point during high school when I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be honest. I can't lie for selfish reasons. I need to be completely honest in who I am. And I practice that every single word. And this is, I practice that every single word that comes out of my mouth, I have to mean it. Like, I have to mean it. Like, I'm not just going to say some bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's forced me towards this direction of like, oh my God, I need to learn how to like enjoy people. I need to enjoy this because me avoiding people is not being true to myself. That's not like being honest, because what happens is when I avoided people, I would resent them. I would judge them and do this and that.
Yeah.
But that it's so black and white. It's either you resent them and hate them or you enjoy them. That's literally it. There's this little small point in period where you just kind of stay in the middle, but that's tolerance. You're just tolerating their people, and tolerance runs out. Patience runs out, and you have to make a decision. Either you're going to hate them because it's easier to hate them, or you're going to enjoy them because it's easier to enjoy them. Because you can't stay in that middle lane forever. Right? And obviously, like, it fluctuates, right? Like, people are going to get on your nerves. People are going to make you laugh here and there. But it's looking at that and realizing like what you're facing. And it's kind of like this whole acceptance thing is like I'm wishing I was somewhere else, but I'm not. So why the fuck am I wishing it? It just is.
Yeah, so there's a lot that I understand within that. There's a lot that I agree about within that. Then there's also some things that I don't agree about, and so those just make it hard for me to stitch everything together into a package that I'm willing to accept. Like, I don't think it is black and white in terms of like you either hate someone and resent them or you accept them and enjoy them. I think it's a lot more nuanced than that.
What do you mean it's not black and white? Because goal oriented. Because when I say that, I mean like goal essentially. I'm not talking about the.
Okay, so what are the two different goals?
It's either you want to enjoy their presence or you want to hate their presence, or like you want to love their presence or you want to hate their presence. Now those are extremes.
Do you think there's anybody who wants to hate someone's presence?
Yes.
Someone who wants to hate their
yes.
presence. Okay, give me an example.
Well, that's what hate is. That's what anger is.
What, wanting to hate someone?
You want to be angry. One of the most powerful advices that I have ever been given, it says you are in control of your own emotions.
That's just not true.
Very true.
Okay, well, this is going to be a fun debate. So if you're in control of your emotions, why can't we just decide to be happy?
Because you don't know how to be happy.
Okay, but you're in control. How are you in control but you don't know how to do it? Like, how could you be simultaneously in control of something but then also not in control?
Okay.
Right? Because not knowing how to do something.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you can be controlling your emotions.
Okay, so how do you control your emotions?
Understanding how emotions work.
How does understanding how they work help you control them?
Because like, okay, take something like anger.
Okay.
Okay. Anger is essentially, okay. Well, I like that perfect example. You said like, okay, if you're controlling your emotions, then be happy, right? That's a perfect example because ironically, you can say that. So basically, someone who I guess is at a higher consciousness is able to do that. Is actually able to make themselves happy.
And how?
Taking action. And what I mean by that is, for example, I'm going to give an example. This is an analogy to how to become in a creative process. A lot of writers, a lot of screenplay writers and authors struggle with writer's block, right? And the creativity. And one of the biggest things is essentially there's processes on how to get in a creative block. And so I remember how to get into creative zone. And so think of like you can like meditate yourself into hyping yourself up. Essentially, you can sit there and meditate, and someone like a meditative teacher can actually teach you how to get yourself into this creative zone, and then get yourself into this downbeat zone. And it's a hard skill to do, and this is why meditation is very important, because meditation is you need to be able to observe your emotions and able to stop it. And so the creative process.
How are you? Okay, so because a lot of this, I'm almost getting the sense that maybe it's not that you're wrong. It's just you're not using the words for what they actually mean, because you're saying observing emotions and stopping them. So
okay, yeah. So
why are you observing something that you're
like? Let's stop this. I see where it is. Your definition of control is different from mine.
Yeah, potentially. So let's get into that. How would you define controlling? Like even within this context.
So
what does it mean to you to control emotions?
I'm just going to say a statement right here. You cannot stop emotions from affecting your mind, but you can control your actions.
Thank you.
Through
yeah, no.
Essentially.
Yeah, you can control your actions. You're completely right there. Yeah. You can control your actions.
That's what I meant.
I cannot kill someone,
right,
but I can't not be angry at them if they kill my mother. Like, I guarantee I'm going to be fucking, well, we don't got to talk about that. But, if they do something that I'm going to be angry about, I'm going to be angry. And I don't think there's a damn thing I can do about that anger.
No, for sure.
Right? Other than, like, accept it.
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
So, but yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, you can control your actions, but I don't think you can control your emotions, which is the only distinction that I was caring about.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly as I said. Because as you were describing it, I was like, okay, so you do understand the fact that you have to observe emotions, and you have to, emotions will often bring us to a place in which we're going to have certain kind of thought patterns and thought loops that we typically have. And then we have to observe them, watch them, understand that, oh, this is something that I do. I need to now stop it, right? It's something that you even, and it's very interesting because I was just earlier admiring your conscientiousness and how you realized you have a habit of basically oversimplifying an explanation, and so you stopped yourself, right? You observed yourself, you stopped yourself, and then you corrected upon that, right?
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. It's just with your emotions.
Yeah. No,
and so,
exactly.
And so yeah, but anyways, yeah. So I mean, we are on the same page now.
Yeah, I think just the way I learn is just different the way you learn, right?
I don't think it's different. Well, I mean, I can't say that. I mean, obviously it's different, but I don't know. I think there was just a legitimately just a linguistic disconnect.
Right. But like, there's like a lot of like teachers and like mentors. They always talk about how like when you're teaching someone, there's different learners too.
Oh, it's true.
And so,
that's definitely true.
And so like, when he said that in the video, you are in control of your emotions. I got that. Like
Yeah.
I got it, but because I'm like a type of learner that would get it, versus someone like you who's like, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? And you just needed like a further explanation.
So the thing, I kind of disagree with that. The thing is, it doesn't make sense. Like, I get it, but it's wrong. And so it's like, you can, like, I can, if I say like, fucking, I mean, even when you were talking about like, you know, I say this and then blah blah blah, or like you said, like whatever the fuck you said, like I understood what you were saying, but like that doesn't mean that it's correct. Like blah 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 doesn't mean something. It means it quite literally means whatever the person knows that it means, right? It's just contextually based. And so for me, I am a pretty literal person, and like literary accuracy matters to me a lot. So it matters to me that someone uses the right words so that I can like guarantee that I know exactly what they're saying and that they're communicating what they want to accurately.
And to clarify, you're saying that the way it was explained was wrong, not the statement.
No, the statement was wrong because the words were used incorrectly. You are not in control of your emotions. Incorrect. You just aren't. You're in control of your actions. You're in control of your response to the emotions. You're not in control of the emotions. Like that statement is not factual. At its most concrete and literal level, it's not factual. And though you can understand the deeper meaning of it, you can understand what the person means by it, but that doesn't mean that it's correct. It's a correct statement.
I agree with you with that, but I feel like you also say statements that are supporting what you're saying right now.
I probably do.
So those are wrong as well.
Yeah, those are definitely wrong.
Okay,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. No, I mean, this isn't to say that I'm perfect or something like that. But like, yeah, I mean, you're completely right. I think we all, to some degree, do it because it's easier. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
no,
fucking
exactly.
easier. That's the reason why you don't deeply explain what you're trying to articulate, because it's much easier to say, I don't even remember what the fuck you said, but it's much easier to say like blah blah blah.
Like emotions, you control your emotions.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's a lot easier to say that you're in control of your emotions than to elaborate on it and say, well, you're not in control of your emotions. You're in control of your response to your emotions.
Right.
It's just more words and it's more effort, and you have to form more thoughts. And it's much easier to just say what you want to say and then assume that people are going to understand it.
And that,
because most people will, right?
Yeah, no,
and so
exactly.
it gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And this is like another thing that like mentors and teachers talk about, where it's like they get so advanced that when a beginner or like an amateur is watching and learning from them, they have to stop and actually explain what it means to be in control of your emotions, because maybe there's already like someone advanced student there and they already get it because they've been through that course multiple times or something like that. Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. And so, okay. So, so I understand this very accurately. My relationship with League of Legends is very like similar to this. If I were to explain I've tried to explain multiple times in the past League of Legends to like someone who's like in their 60s, and it's like, yeah, I know, it's fucking weird.
Is there something there?
I don't know. I heard like the door open, but maybe it was not that. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. Anyways. So there's layers of shit that I have to explain. Like if I'm explaining League of Legends to someone who's never played League of Legends, but they played other games, that's a lot easier than someone who's never played other games. Yeah. And that's a lot easier than someone who's never used a computer, right? And so it's like there's just things like when I say like, yeah, man, you have to use your ult. What the fuck is an ult? Do you mean the alt key? Like what? What do you mean? And I'm like, oh no, your ultimate ability.
Yeah.
Someone who's played Overwatch knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, no,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
They don't even played League, but they know, oh yeah, ultimate ability.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so it's like, but someone who doesn't even use a computer, they're like, huh? Like they can't even think that it's the ult key, right? And so it's just there's levels that you have to peel back. And this is the reason why I've formed the habit of being literal. I know exactly where I got this habit from. I know exactly, and it was from my father. Not because he's a literal person, because he's. Whew, I almost got really mad. Yeah, I know, right? And that's that anger. I can't control that. That shit just happens, bro. It's nature.
Yeah.
But I stopped myself. Anyways, yeah. So he's not a very literal person. He's not a very literal person. But I had to be literal with him.
Exactly.
And that's the reason. Here, that's the reason why I learned it from him. Because when I talked to him, so many times we would get into arguments because I would say something and I would say it in the same way that I would talk to a friend.
Yeah.
And it would just disconnect or something. And he gets so fucking pissed by the way I said it.
Yeah.
And so I said, fuck that. I'm gonna use every fucking word perfectly to where if there's a fucking issue, it's with your comprehension of the English language, not my use.
No, exactly.
And I've gotten to that level, and it feels fucking great. By the way.
No, exactly. No, and now I'm with that level with my dad too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, where it's I've had that exact same thing where like I would say something and it's like there's just this major disconnect and he would like get pissed and take everything and reverse it or you know like in this shit I'm like, oh okay, so like there's just like this disconnect and so you have to like explain it, dude.
Yeah,
like,
you have to be exact.
fucking,
You just have to be exact.
Exactly.
You have to be fucking exact, and it's exhausting. It's one of the reasons why, like, even just talking to my father can be so fucking exhausting.
Yeah,
like, it used to be. It's gotten a lot better, especially after I moved out. It got so much fucking better. But it was so exhausting, just even. Because I would have to prepare myself to talk to him. Because it's like, okay, I can no longer just speak candidly. I have to now analyze what I want to say, analyze the implications of what I want to say. Like I have to make sure that it's literally accurate. Then I have to analyze the implications of it, and then I have to understand what is behind what I want to say, so that when he fucking counters it, I have a counter to that.
Yeah, no,
and it was all that shit within a fucking convo, and it could be about something as simple as like, why do bananas have peels, bro?
Yeah,
it could be the dumbest shit ever, and I have to prepare this fucking this 7-paragraph literary analysis.
Yeah, but then you start getting so good at it that it becomes second nature now. Like for me,
and that's the reason why talking to you, we had that issue, right?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, I understood what you were saying, but I also didn't agree with it, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't agree with the literal meaning of it.
And dude, this is making me learn shit about myself too, right? Because like when I'm talking to like I'm
Wait, you're talking about like right now you're learning shit?
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of this podcast.
Yeah.
My favorite part. My favorite fucking part, man.
Yeah, no, it's fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just learning shit about yourself.
It's the coolest shit every episode.
At my job, like it's so not even just my job, but it's like overall, like in life, it's hard for me to follow very simple directions because growing up, a simple direction can be easily misunderstood especially with my dad. Like he's like, hey, go do this, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it, and he's like, no, like this and this and that, and I'm like, oh, so you wanted me to do and so like when people give me directions, I always double check with them. I'm like, hey, like, is this? Are you sure? And sometimes they get irritated with me because it's like, dude, I just said it, just go do it. But I was like, motherfucker, you don't understand, because it's like when I because I have to double check because it's like, okay, do this and this and that. Like I need specific ass directions. Yeah. And it's so hard for me to like let that go. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Dude, I fucking love that you say that. I can't think of someone who I've ever met that's expressed that to me. That's like that like dude, you don't understand how much I get that. Yeah. I learned that myself actually. I learned that many years ago. But like I realized like holy shit. Like when people tell me to do shit, like people who aren't my father, when they tell me to do shit, I'm like you gotta be more specific than that, man. Because like I'll get like anxious that I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, man.
And I'll worry that like, because it's just there's so many ways for things to be interpreted.
Yeah.
And what that is that's our minds remembering, okay, this is how much detail we require in order to be confident that we can't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right? And so like without this level of specificity, I think. Specification. Yeah, specificity.
I think that's a word.
I think so.
Kind of curious now.
Specificity.
How would you?
It's like specific, but instead of the C, it goes into icity. Specificity. I think. It's gonna be so fucking shitty if this is incorrect. Specificity. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, we're good.
It doesn't say it.
I think the volume's too low. What the fuck?
I don't know. I think it's because I don't know.
Probably.
It's connected through the sound.
Yeah,
for sure.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah. Basically, yeah. I totally fucking get that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because then I have to be like, okay, like I catch myself and I'm like, all right, I'm just wording a fucking up. It's like if you fuck up, you fuck up. Just do it anyways.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And the truth is really what it's really interesting because really what you should think is, okay, I'm just gonna do what they told me, and if I fuck it up, it's their fault. right?
Right.
But we've been conditioned to think that if we fuck up, it's our fault.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
when
yeah.
we do fuck up, guess who gets punished?
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so we've been trained that if you fuck up, it's not because they gave improper definitions. It's because you didn't read their mind when they
Yeah.
weren't specific enough, right?
No, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, for sure, man.
No, and it's also drawn me to it's also it's made me more inclined to give specific directions. I don't know if you relate to that too.
Oh,
But
yeah, for sure,
especially
dude.
like managing. Like when I tell someone like to do something, I go so fucking in depth of how to do it, what to do. They don't even follow it. Like I think they miss half of what I'm trying to get them to do. Like I would probably work so much better with people if I just said like, yeah, do that. But I don't. I say put this here, and then you're gonna walk in, look to the left, right under here, on top of this, and put that in there. But make sure that it's on under. And I give them these very fucking specific details, and they're like. And it's like,
no.
fuck, man, I should have just said put it on there.
Yeah,
like,
no,
right?
and I used to, when I was a leader back in my old job, like I used to do that shit too.
Yeah.
And some of them would get irritated because they just wanted a simple ass direction,
Exactly.
but I do a little over the top, you know what I mean? And like I had to learn how to like do that, you know what I mean?
No,
So-
for sure.
So it's very interesting, you know.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting how I wonder if like English is the same. Like I wonder if that's only applied to English.
Fuck no.
No.
Nah.
No. Okay. For sure. Yeah.
I'm very confident it's not. Because you can specify, you can give specific instructions in what I would assume to be any language. It's just about how much specificity is required.
Right.
Yeah. Some people just require, and the thing is like, what it really comes down to is like, what's common sense, or like what's basic knowledge?
Yeah.
What do people assume, right?
Yeah, I want going back to the first initial thing that you talked about how time is moving towards you versus you're moving through time.
Yeah, shit, yeah, that is where this started.
That's super interesting because it's like almost like there's like this aspect of the center of the universe essentially. Would you say?
Yeah,
On
exactly,
one
exactly,
side of the
exactly, and that's why it's very. I mean, yeah, that's why it's very egotistical.
So
Or, like,
so which one would be the center of the universe?
if you're the center of the universe, it would be 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I knew you'd say 2 p.m.
Right, and if you weren't,
Yeah, and exactly.
Gotcha.
If you view the world as, if you view the world and life and events and things,
Mm-hmm.
especially just events, things that take place, if you view that as something that's just inevitable,
Yeah.
then that's basically kind of operating under the assumption that there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And if if you're inclined to view life through that lens of like things are inevitable, they're just gonna happen, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, you're. Yeah, exactly. That's just how you're gonna see the world.
And I want to bring that up because I remember I was watching a video and it was basically explaining how, like, why the speed of light is impossible, and this ties into that because, the way they discovered that the speed of light is possible is through Einstein's theory of relativity.
Possible or impossible?
Impossible.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I say possible?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. And so through Einstein's theory of relativity, they discovered that achieving the speed of light is impossible. And do you know what the theory of relativity is? It's basically like if you have a tennis ball in a car and you throw it up in the car and the car's going 65 miles per hour, that tennis ball from an outside perspective is technically going 65 miles per hour. But in the car, it's going like 1 or 0 miles per hour.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Yeah, it's relative.
It's
yeah.
relative. Boom. Got
Yeah.
it, right? And so he explained a whole bunch of math and shit and science and basically he said if the reason why it's impossible to achieve the speed of light is because in order for the theory of relativity to work, you need to view yourself as the center of the universe.
Okay.
And so he basically said, think of it like an infinite grid, right? And you just put yourself, or like a sphere, right? Like the Earth, right? You put a dot on there. That's technically the center of the sphere. right?
Yeah.
If
I mean, kind of.
kind of, right? Like
Yeah.
on a surface level, because we're gonna ignore the third dimension for a little
Yeah.
bit, right? Or like
Yeah, like, so you're saying like if there's nothingness and you put a dot, that's the center of everything.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's like what else is?
Well, what else is,
Yeah.
right? And so because of that, you're never gonna achieve the speed of light because you're the center of the universe. And the whole reason is because the closer you get to the speed of light, the more power you're gonna need, the more energy that you're gonna need, and it's gonna get to the point where like you're gonna need so much energy just to get like 1 to 2%, just to get like 98%, and then you need like so much, like you need times 100 more energy just to get like 98.6%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes exponentially more difficult.
Exactly.
To reach that power. But I still am failing to understand why, and I'm sure it's just because
I
probably
can't
explain it better.
Yeah, no, he should definitely explain it better, and I can't really.
I mean, it's. I imagine it's fucking hard as fuck to explain.
Oh,
I could probably watch
no.
it 5 times, and I wouldn't be able to explain it.
Yeah, no, I had to watch it a couple times just to kind of like get a general idea of it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just super interesting because that also applies to science and just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You know, it's man. So recently, I've been doing a lot of thinking about science and religion, spirituality, and how science doesn't mean spirituality doesn't exist, and people already know this, right? So something really interesting is like the way that we can. So how we solve problems, we don't come up with the rules to life or the rules to the universe or the laws of whatever. We don't come up with the laws and then try to make reality fit within it. We look at reality and then we try to make laws that abide by it. Right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so when you get a new piece of reality, when you stumble upon new evidence, if it doesn't fit within your laws, I think we have the tendency to trust the laws over the evidence. This is evident in the way that, you know, if someone feels very like if someone has like an irrational fear, we write it off as like, oh, it's just an irrational fear. Right? Like, oh, you just, you know, it's just an irrational fear. It's your brain fucking being stupid. So just ignore it. Right? Fear of flights. You know, you can throw as many statistics at them as you want. Right? Or like even like I actually thought about the praying mantis. Right?
Jerome.
Jerome. Oh yeah, you threw him out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm fearful of the praying mantis, but I definitely am not comfortable with it. Right? But, well, fuck that. Anyways. Right, irrational fears. So basically, instead of writing it off as, oh, it's just an irrational fear, and deciding that what rational is, what sense is, like what making sense is, this doesn't fit within our definition of what makes sense. So it's just whatever. Let's just throw it out. Forget about it. Right. Instead of that, we have to adjust our perception of what sense is to fit this new evidence.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we have to do. And this is how we can actually solve problems. And you know, long story short, like when we actually like when you actually dig into an irrational fear, you probably realize that like, oh shit, something happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Too young to fucking comprehend it.
Yep.
And so now I have this fear of it.
Yep.
Right? Like a good example is like people who get abused. People who get abused, a lot, especially times at a very young, at a very young age, people who get abused often have the feeling. Well, I don't know. Have you ever talked to someone who's been sexually abused?
Yeah.
Do they feel like it's their fault? They might not.
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, honestly, because I don't think I've gotten that deep with them.
Yeah, because you kind of do have to get deep with them. Well,
you know, like I've talked to them and I've gone like they brought it up.
Yeah.
But I've never like gotten that deep to where it's like, do you think it's your fault?
Yeah. So
I would say no. honestly. But it's like they still can't get over it.
Yeah. And that could be a totally different thing because maybe they know it's not their fault and they know it's the other person's fault and they can't bring themselves to forgive them. But generally speaking, statistically, when people are abused at a young age, and it's very important that it's at a young age, which is something that, like, maybe people get sexually abused at like 20, and so this doesn't apply to them. But basically, at a young age, they always have this just intrinsic feeling that it was their fault. And people can't understand this. It's like, you didn't do anything to deserve that. Like it just happened to you. How could it be your fault? Well, the reason for this is because when we're developing as a child, there's a part of our mind in which there's a psychological term which is called theory of mind, and we develop it. I think we start developing it once we're like, I think 7 or 8, but it really doesn't become like, it really doesn't start to become fully developed until like our later teenage years. And so essentially what this is our ability to kind of our ability to conceptualize the fact that we aren't the only human. Yeah. Right. And it's really interesting because I used to experience this as a kid and I couldn't get anybody to help me understand it. Right. I remember as a kid, I used to feel like I was in a movie and everybody else was a character. And I used to feel like every single time, not every single, always. I just always felt like I was in a movie and everybody was just playing side characters, but I was the main character. And it just felt so fucking weird because I felt like I couldn't trust anybody. Like I really felt like not like I couldn't trust anybody. Like life just felt fake in a way. It just felt so fucking fake. Like everybody was like acting and I was the only real fucking character. Anyways, like I was in a movie and everybody else knew that it was a movie, but I didn't. I wasn't told that it was a movie. Anyways.
Oh, weird. Wow. That's interesting.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So, but the reason why this is because when we're a child, we can't comprehend that other people have like their own intentions and their own brains. And this is the reason why, like, if a child's hungry, they don't stop there and think, and we're talking about young child, they don't sit there and think like, oh, well, my dad's busy with work, so he can't feed me this moment. Yeah. I'm not going to yell at him. No, they say, I want food. I want food. I want food. No. They yell about whatever. Yeah. I want this toy. I want this toy. Yeah. Like, no, you can't have this toy. But I want it. I want it. It's
impulsive. It's urgent.
Exactly,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
They want. They can't bring themselves out of themselves to understand why things just can't happen that they want.
For sure.
So this same part of the same thing that stops them from being able to understand other people, right? This is the reason why, like, it's not normal for a child to like want to share. You have to teach them to share.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The same thing is the reason why, imagine what happens to a kid if they're the only person that they see in the world, right? The only person in the world is them. What happens when they get abused? Whose fault is it?
Sure.
Exactly. It's their fault. They're the only fucking person, so it's got to be their fault. Right? And this is the reason why discipline's so concrete for children, right? Because when you discipline them, they have no choice but to realize that it's their fault, that they did something wrong. And this is the reason why this is the reason why almost every single fucking complex that someone develops, not every single complex, but every single like traumatic kind of like issue that someone has is always stems back to their childhood.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the ability to step out of that feeling and like they've learned to at a young age that like this thing was their fault or whatever. Right. Anyways, and so even though logically someone who gets abused, you tell them it's not your fault. Like, why do you feel guilty about it? Why do you feel bad about it? And they feel like it's their fault. Yeah. Anyways, so that's basically along the lines of like, this is rational. This is logic. Thinking that it's their fault is outside of logic, but we have to really step outside of that, and then we can learn how to actually solve the issue, which is, helping them understand why they feel this way, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not happy with how I explain that, but you get the point. Why was I talking about this?
I don't know.
Because I had a point with this.
Yeah, I feel like you lost your point.
I really fucking did. I'm upset with myself. I have to just accept it.
You said something like early child development.
Yeah, it was before that. It was why I was talking about adjusting our Oh, it has to do with Earth. We were talking about Earth. We're talking about yeah, I was talking about
Center of the universe?
spirituality. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I was talking about spirituality and relative, but that's less important. I don't. Yeah, what I was gonna say, like, what I was going to, like, it's no longer fucking.
Okay.
I know that's anticlimactic.
No, yeah, it's good. It happens.
Yeah.
We're tired anyways.
Yeah.
How are we on time?
Yeah. Let's because there's something that I want to possibly talk about. It's only an hour and a half. Oh, it's probably like an hour actually.
Yeah, because we
We
talked
talked
like
for a
30
bit.
minutes. Yeah.
All right. So I want you to decide. I was talking. Okay. Fuck. First off, not everything's about me. So if you want to talk about something, then you could talk about something. But there is something that I would like to talk about. So if you want to hear about it, then there could be that too. So there's a realization that I came to with like ego and with like, and how we understand like our own value, like our own self-worth. So there's that, and it's a pretty cool realization. I think it is. And then there's also questions, or we can go to questions and then just start answering some questions. And I feel like there's some questions that like we can just check some off that are like really simple to answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So which would you rather hear about the ego thing, or would you rather hear about, or would you rather talk about, or fucking just kind of pop off some questions?
We can pop off some questions. The
Okay.
ego. When you said ego, I was like, yeah, fuck, no, it's ego. Like it's gonna be deep.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty deep. Yeah.
It's gonna be a while. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Is there a perfect life?
No.
No. There's not a perfect life.
Yeah.
I mean, why is there no perfect life?
Yeah.
Because we're not perfect, right?
Oh
Like,
wait. Let's come up with a question for the other one. I think
I don't think. I mean, yeah, we can come up with a question, but we covered so many things. I feel like the question would be like, I actually had it earlier.
I just need it for the title, basically. That's all. I just need
for
a
sure.
title.
Yeah. So then I would say it would be
Something about language, English language, communication, socializing. That's basically what we focused on.
Yeah, I think the keyest thing, the biggest thing was like
The power of language.
why we're drawn. I mean, it depends. Do you want to be specific, or do you want to be like
It doesn't.
accurate? Do you want to be accurate, or do you want to be
it doesn't have
clickbait?
to be specific because if we were specific, all our titles would be wrong.
No, for sure.
So,
they
like-
wouldn't be wrong,
Right.
They just
Well-
wouldn't be enticing. And that's my question. Do you want it
I actually
to be,
disagree. They are wrong because they're not explained properly. Because the title would not be like the explanation is wrong because we would like sidetrack all the time.
No, yeah, exactly. No, I get that. Our titles aren't wrong, but the reason why they're wrong is, I believe, is so that they can be enticing. Because
What
if
does
they
that
were to
word
be
mean?
right, they would be less interesting.
Enticing is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, yeah, to be enticed by something is to like be like a woman. It's like to be. It's kind of like provocative. Well, it's kind of. Yeah.
Interested.
People like. If something's being marketed to you, then the attempt is to entice you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to get you to like want it, I guess, or
Yeah.
to like be drawn towards it.
Yeah.
But
Well, just like how powerful language is. Is that it?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Sure,
Simple.
why not?
Fuck it. Are you satisfied with that?
I mean, kind of. I feel like it should have something to do with like connection, because we talked about a lot about human connection, or like how like
Oh,
like
okay.
why we feel connected to like communities, why we feel connected to people.
Okay.
what
I think we
connects
can
us-
just
what
come up
connects
with
us to
it
people.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or dude, honestly, what I think you should do. I don't know how much of it you're gonna listen to, but what I think you should do is probably like listen to it back and then come up with it. Because there's gonna be things that we think right now, and it's gonna be the story that we tell ourselves of what just happened, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna be very accurate. You know what I mean?
But Jordan, that's every episode.
What?
Every episode, it's like we have the subject, we go off track, and we go
Yes.
back.
Okay.
We
Here's
have
my
the
point.
subject, and we go
Here's
off
my
track.
point. Here's my point. Let's say we spend like 20% on one topic, 30% on another topic, and then 20% on another, and then like 10% on another. Right?
Right.
I don't even know if that's 100%, but still, right? So, like logically, the 30%, which is the biggest topic, would be the title, right? It's like this was the main thing. So like this is the title. But let's say that this 10% was the most impactful to you. Like this 10% was the most hype moment. This 10% was the moment that was like the aha moment, the light bulb moment. This was the coolest moment of the podcast. What are you going to name it? Are you going to name it 30%? Which is like, this is what it kind of should be named. This is what most of it was about. Or are you going to name it that aha moment? Right?
30%.
You're going to name it 30%?
Yeah.
So I don't think that you're going to be able to accurately reach that 30% with your memory.
Well, the reason I think I can is because as we were talking, I already preset a question. And every time we switched subjects, I was able to tie it to that question.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you were tying it to was the question, which is about... Wait, no. Was it? Fuck, wait. I remember looking... Because, no, I remember you actively tying it to something over and over and over again, but it wasn't something written here.
My thing is just how powerful language is, or how the English language.
That's fucking with me, bro. That's fucking with me. Because I remember looking at this screen. It's so fuck. Because I remember looking at the screen over and over again, and I would it felt like there was a question on there that you kept on tying it to. But now looking at it, like I know that that's not true.
Yeah,
that's fucking with me. Anyways, yeah, no, I remember. Because you kept on tying it to something. So fuck it, name it that.
Okay, for sure. And then yeah, is there a perfect life now?
No, there's not a perfect life because like.
There's that common.
I mean, yeah, because perfection's unattainable. I mean, right. the second question, we even talked about this. The second question literally answers the first one, which is like, why do we strive for perfection if it is not attainable?
Right.
It's like, well, if perfection's not attainable, then there can't be a perfect life. So you just answer yourself.
Yeah.
The list doesn't exist. Fucking sucks. Nah, but yeah. Why do we strive for perfection if it's not attainable? I think this is actually a good question though. Because I ask myself this a lot. In some ways, I'm a perfectionist, and I fucking hate how snooty that sounds. But I think the reason why we strive for perfection is, or at least the healthy version of why, because you could say like, oh, it's for ego, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that the healthy reason why we strive for perfection is what we talked about actually on one of the first podcasts, which is what life is about. Right. And now, since we've discovered that, I've learned some things and I'm less confident that that's what life's about. But generally speaking, it's kind of hard to argue that life's about progression. Do you remember when we kind of like decided that? So why do we strive for perfection? Because it keeps us on the road of progression. Always,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Basically it.
Yeah.
No way, no easier way to say it.
It's like, even though it's unattainable, it's forward.
Right.
And the fact that it's unattainable means that it will constantly be forward.
Exactly.
And so the fact that it's forward means that
it's trustworthy to go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus if you had the idea of, oh, well, since perfection is not attainable, then why am I going to even strive for it? Since you're ignoring perfection, you're either going to go stagnate or you're going to go backwards. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Going stagnate puts you behind.
Exactly. Because everything else is moving forward.
Because everything else is moving forward. Yeah. The world is still spinning because you may be going stagnate and some other people are going to be going backwards. But because there's a small handful that are just striving to go perfectionist.
No, the majority of people.
There you go. Majority. Because the majority are trying to progress. And
in life itself, bro.
Exactly, right?
I mean, if we think of even like Darwinian theory.
Yeah,
like,
Earth itself changes,
genes,
right?
DNA is like always trying to get better.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, the way death works, if you think about it, the way death and reproduction works is like when you die, right? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If you die before you reproduce, like that's progression at work, you know?
Yeah. Like the fear of not having kids when you're older. Is that what you mean?
No. Though that kind of is part of it. I mean, I'm just thinking about Darwinian theory, which is basically like, you know, when you survival
of the fittest. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Survival of the fittest. And so becoming more and more fit means that you're going to survive.
Yeah.
To reproduce more, to
doing whatever evolution favors.
Exactly. Quite literally that. And that's
Yeah.
like what progression is. Which is really interesting because I don't think our actual values and morals and like our goals as people actually reflect what evolution is. But it's also partly because like we're so fucking far away from like actual evolution. It's so interesting too. Oh my god. Fuck. I kind of want to go on the side tangent, but I also don't because I know I'm going to get pissed at myself for going on it. But I think about the fact that like, so people have so many, like people talk about like saving the earth, right? Or like going green or whatever.
Yeah.
Like being like eco-friendly, right? And like being like earth conscious and shit like that, right? And I think about it and I'm like, you know what? If you believe that humans are just animals, right? If we're all just animals, right? Because of course this begs the question, like, are humans different than other animals? And like most like scientifically minded people would say no. If we're just animals, that means that we're just taking our course. Like, you're not gonna get mad at a dog that runs around in a circle and like you know, digs up a bunch of grass because they're not being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Because they're not being earth conscious. It's like, no, they're doing what a dog does. And if that's what a dog does, then that's just nature taking its course.
Yeah.
And so technically it's like, even though we're polluting the fucking earth, if we're just animals and this is just what we do, it's just nature taking its course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I disagree with that. Which is really interesting because that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And I don't even remember if it was on the podcast, but you were talking about how we're a virus.
Yes.
And I was saying that we're not a virus because we have control over whether we're viral or not.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the main reason why I feel differently. But if that's the case, then that kind of involves like spirituality, which I think spirituality is very heavily tied to consciousness and conscientiousness and our ability to observe ourselves.
Right.
Which gets even more deep, but
Right, because I mean, if everybody's enlightened, they wouldn't really need a gadget. They would just be chilling with like, you know, like the Aztecs and the Mayans did. Like they didn't really give a shit about technology. They were just like, all right, like we're gonna.
I mean, yeah, I'm not so sure that the Aztecs and the Mayans were enlightened. They might have been, but I'm not so sure that they were. But
Well, a lot of like scientific studies think that their hierarchy of needs were reversed.
Interesting. You know, it's funny
Because a lot of tribes, at a younger age, kids did take a lot of psychedelics.
Yeah, and I remember talking about this with you on Glunch, I think. And no, that's very interesting. Fuck, I kind of want to like do a lot of research in that, or like
it's pretty interesting. Shit,
that is
a lot of
really
ancient civilizations they took psychedelics at a young age.
Yeah.
And you could see that, like especially Native Americans, and so that's why they say that their hierarchy of needs was basically upside down.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know what I mean? Kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I think we're good, honestly.
Yeah, we're probably good. Fuck, because dude, I'm in a thinking place, not a talking place.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm thinking about so much right now.
I also just had this idea, like, what if once a month we just didn't even do a question, we just fucking talked,
Yeah.
and like just once a month, it's like, okay, free mind time. And it's like we just fucking rant, we just talk. It doesn't have to be any specific, doesn't have to do anything. And just like this could be that episode, you know what I mean? I think
that's
I fuck
what I
with
was
that.
feeling in the beginning. That's part of the reason why I was like, I don't even know about like, because you were talking about like, you know, what's going to be the question for this, and I was like, why do we care, man? Like, let's just talk, you know?
Yeah, but like we're doing a whole podcast for a reason.
What's the reason?
Oh, remember me and you have different intentions.
That's true.
Yeah,
We do have different intentions.
but I think it's a good compromise.
Yeah.
I mean, are you cool with once a month, or do you want more?
For sure. I mean, that's a good question. Do I want more? You know what? Fuck. We were talking about how day twos could be something different. And I'm starting to think like, maybe this is what day two is. You know what I mean? But day two means every week.
Right.
Right. So maybe every other day two or something.
Okay. That could work too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twice a month. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can do that. I think that's pretty cool. We just fucking rant. Talk shit.
Yeah. I'm noticing a lot of the issue that I personally have with getting in a flow state is this battle that I have with myself of what I want to say and what I should say, what I want to do and what I should do, and what I want to be and what I should be.
Yeah, but like I don't see that as like a bad thing.
I think that's
Again, just different
Yeah.
objectives.
Okay. So I see it as a bad thing because it takes me out of the flow state, and out of the flow state is when I'm like gonna be the most everything, the most entertaining, the most
Right.
the most positive, the most like free flowing.
You're still entertaining, Jordan, though.
I think I'm less entertaining though.
But
And even
like,
more than that, I think I'm less fucking happy, bro.
So would
'Cause-
you say you're less entertaining on the previous podcast?
Yeah. Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
you're way more entertaining than me.
You said on the previous podcast?
Yeah. Like when I'm editing them, dude, I'm like, the fans are gonna love Jordan.
Okay.
Literally, dude.
Yeah. So
Because you're fucking funny, you're spastic, you're like, and like the way I edit it, dude, it's like you just come off as like that very favorable guy. Like
Yeah.
I don't see it as a problem. I think you're being a little too harsh on yourself, which is okay, right? Because you're striving for perfectionism,
Yeah.
and that's leading you to that goal.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, like, it's good, bro. Like dude, you're way more entertaining than me. Like I'm watching the videos, and I'm like, dang, bro, like I need to step up my game a little bit because Jordan's like,
and so that's the thing. So like entertainment isn't one fucking hierarchical pull, right? We have different things that we value within entertainment.
Yeah.
Right? Because there could be like a kids channel, they're high in intensity and energy. They're very low in like depth and like
for
and
sure.
articulation and shit like that. So like even though they're like super energy and fuck and a bunch of quirky noises and shit like that, that's not entertaining to me because I need more substance.
Right.
And so different people are going to be entertained by different things. I'm not more entertaining. I may be more entertaining than you to you.
Right.
So maybe that's the case, but I don't think I'm more entertaining than you. We're just different. We bring different things to the table.
Gotcha. I see what
know?
you mean. Yeah. No, we do.
So
for sure.
and yeah, so yeah, that kind of goes into the size thing that I was going to talk about with ego, but we're not going to talk about that because we're done.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, this episode was just like us chilling.
Yeah, we kick it back.
Thanks for watching. We're low on energy. It's the second day. What you gonna do?
You know what's it's interesting because I'm actually more energetic this day than yesterday. For me, it's not the second day thing. I'm just low on intensity. I'm low on emotional intensity.
Gotcha.
But you could be low on energy because
Yeah.
I can't speak for you. But
Well,
for
I mean,
me,
I was actually feeling good this morning too. That's a thing.
I was
But
feeling really good this morning.
and then I just got tired later on tonight because I was just kind of getting sleepy and I took a little light nap. But yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this, guys.
Bye.
We're catch you on the next episode. This is like episode 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. You know what's really cool too? We're gonna get really good at this.
Dude, we are. And
Right.
I've noticed we're getting better.
Yeah, we're
Like,
getting
we're
better.
getting better.
We're getting better, and it's really hard not to look at how good I'll just speak for myself, how good I am and be like, fuck you, I want you to be better. And this
Yeah.
is when I say the shoulds. Because yeah, we are getting better, but I want to be good already.
Wait,
you know?
and better in what sense? Like easier getting into flow state is what you mean?
Yeah, I mean essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that at our peak when we hit our peaks, we're like yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need for us to ever be better than
Yeah.
us at our peaks.
Yeah.
But I think our ability to consistently hit our peaks is low. And that's
okay.
how I felt actually, interestingly enough, that's how I felt about League of Legends. Like I felt like when I hit my flow state and I was at my peak, I was like limitless, but I just couldn't hit my peak very often.
Right.
And so getting better for me was all about being able to more consistently hit my peak. So yeah, anyways.
Interesting.
So yeah. I think that our that when we are both in flow, we're pristine, bro. I don't
Yeah.
even want us to get any better than that. Like
Yeah.
I have no need for us to get better than that.
Yeah.
But our ability to hit our flow is what I am like, unsatisfied by.
Interesting. I mean, that's just gonna take time though. But I've seen improvements from them though.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I'm looking back at like the previous
for sure.
podcast,
Yeah,
and I'm
for
like,
sure.
holy shit, we've improved a lot.
Yeah.
Like just with like from like 7 to 8 episodes. And you ever heard of like the reality TV show phenomenon, where it's like when they first, like a reality TV show, it's like the first seasons, it's like kind of awkward because they know they're being recorded, and then like the second and then the third season comes in, and literally like a lot of like reality TV show people, they said like, yeah, like you at first it's really weird because you have this camera crew just fucking following you around, and it's like you kind of act differently, it's get a little awkward, and he says, but you get to the point where you literally just forget that they're there. And he says, and that's how they get those intense moments of like, holy shit, like, are they acting? You know what I mean? Like when they're fucking yelling and throwing shit and they're just all up in their emotions because they've literally just forgotten. And it's just become so accustomed and it's so normal that they're able to get in that flow emotional state.
Yeah, no, it's actually really interesting because that's happened a few times, even just on this podcast.
Exactly.
It's happened a few times when I'm like, oh, fuck, like,
you know what I mean?
Like people can hear this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, and
but
like,
but even if you think about that, how we reach that state, or at least how I reach that state, is by
not even trying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I said I need to stop trying to should.
And I think that's a good thing. I'm totally on the board of just like doing like twice a month, like 2 episodes a month, like of just ranting and doing shit because we're balancing it out. We're like, just fuck it. Like we just won't even talk about this shit. Like we won't even pick up. I'm fucking on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but even within that, because like this was about that. This was, well, kind of. This was. I feel like, yeah. What's going to be important for me is making sure. Fuck. See, there's certain ways that I know I need to change, and then there's certain ways that I maybe don't need to change. Anyways, because I don't want to rant. I don't want to fucking rant.
Yeah, rant's a bad word to use. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it off here. I'm literally just gonna cut all this shit in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut it out. Deuces, leave a comment down below. We don't exist.
Or you can leave it.
Bye.
Bye. Did you finish it?
Yeah, I did.
Bro,
I fucking Jordan that shit, bro.
It's so funny because like I'm known as like in your mind I'm known as the coffee gulper, but I've been sipping the past 2 days.
Yeah, I know. Well, because the other times you have been the infamous coffee gulper.
School needs to be fucking nerfed. Like that shit's overpowered.
Dude, they need to patch that shit, bro.
They need to fucking nerf it real
like
hard.
Yeah, fucking.
It's like, yeah, I mean there's a lot of reasons why there's so many fucking reasons why it needs to get nerfed too, because
wait, what's the opposite of getting nerfed?
Buffed,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you kept doing it, you're like, bruv. Hey, bruv. That's fucking. Would you say that's fucking
I don't
wild,
know
bruv, or whatever?
I probably said mad.
Yeah, that's
fucking mad, bruv.
That's fucking mad,
That's
bruv.
fucking mad, bruv.
Bloody hell, bruv. What the fuck?
Bloody fucking hell, bruv.
Bloody hell. What is wrong with you, you ditwit?
Fucking wanker, bruv.
You fucking wanker.
Stupid fucking cunt, bruv.
You stupid fucking wanker. What the hell's wrong with you?